Every single organization that I talk to says the same thing. Our teams need to adapt more in this crazy disruptive environment. And then they do one of three things. They send teams to training, they restructure their org chart, or they hire a coach and hope for the best. None of these are wrong. Not at all. But none of them answer the question that actually matters. What specifically predicts whether a team can adapt under pressure? I'm not talking in theory, y'all. I'm talking in data. I spent 5 years answering that question. I conducted a doctoral study with 291 professionals across technology, healthcare, finance, and government, to name a few. I used structural equation modeling to test which variables actually drive team adaptive performance in VUCA environments: volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous conditions. And the model I built explains 73.9% of the variance in how teams perform under pressure. Today, I'm going to walk you through what the model found, the 5 constructs that predict team adaptive performance and how they connect to each other, the findings that actually surprised me, and what it means for how you lead your team. This isn't motivational advice, y'all. This is peer-reviewed research. Let's get into it. Before I show you the model, I need you to understand the problem it solves, because the problem is one you're probably dealing with right now. VUCA was coined by the U.S. Army War College in the late 1980s to describe a post-Cold War world. Volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. You know what it stands for. For decades, it was a military and strategy concept. Now it is the operating reality of every single team across every single industry. I mean, look at it. AI is accelerating every dimension of VUCA simultaneously. Markets are more volatile because algorithmic trading reacts in milliseconds. Decisions are more uncertain because the data landscape changes faster than humans can actually interpret it. Operations are more complex because AI tools are creating new interdependencies between systems that didn't exist 2 or 3 years ago. And the path forward is more ambiguous because the competitive landscape is being rewritten by autonomous systems. In this environment, team performance isn't just about execution anymore. It's really about adaptation. Can your team absorb disruption, learn from it, stay committed to the mission, and perform differently than they did yesterday? Most organizations don't know how to answer that question, y'all. They know whether the team hit the last quarter's targets. They don't know whether the team has the capacity to hit next quarter's, especially if next quarter looks nothing like the last quarter. See, that's the gap that my research set out to actually close. Not measuring performance after the fact, but measuring the actual conditions that predict it before the pressure actually hits. The model has 5 constructs. That is 1 input, 3 conditions, 1 outcome. Let me walk you through each one real quick. The input is team coaching, not individual coaching, team coaching. The structured process of helping a team prepare for challenges, actively coaching them during performance, and providing support thereafter. This is measured through 3 dimensions: team preparation, active coaching, and supportive coaching. In the model, team coaching is the primary predictor. I love to call it the catalyst. It's the lever that activates everything else. The first condition is team resilience. This is not individual toughness, y'all. It's the shared structural capacity of the team to absorb that disruption and recover without losing cohesion. See, a group of individually resilient people does not make a resilient team. See, team resilience is emergent. It's a property of the system, not the sum of its parts. The second condition is team goal commitment. Not compliance, y'all. Goal commitment here at the team level. The degree to which the team has genuine shared ownership of the goal, not just awareness of it. See, agreement is cognitive. Commitment is behavioral. Your team can agree with every single word that you're saying. They look at that slide and agree with everything that's on the slide and still not be committed enough to change how they work. The third condition is team learning agility. And I love this one right here. The speed at which a team can unlearn old approaches and adapt to new ones. Not individual learning speed, the team's collective capacity to reframe, experiment, and adapt as a unit, y'all. I actually created the first validated team level adaptation on learning agility scales using a reference shift methodology. It was pretty sweet. And the outcome is team adaptive performance. Not just performance, not just effectiveness, adaptive performance. Can the team handle crisis, solve creative problems, deal with uncertain situations, learn new tasks, and adjust to that interpersonal stress? That's what team adaptive performance scale measures. Together, these 5 constructs form an integrated system. Coaching is the input that builds resilience, goal commitment, and learning agility. Those 3 conditions mediate and moderate the relationship between coaching and adaptive performance. And the total model explains 73.9% of the variance. Did you all hear what I just said? 73.9% of the variance is extraordinary for a behavioral science model. Most organizational research explains maybe 20, 40, maybe 50, 60%. Okay? When you look at the model, the statistics confirmed it, a goodness of fit of 0.631, which is pretty large. SRMR of 0.046, which is excellent. Now, let me show you what the model actually found. Let me walk you through the 4 findings that matter most for practice. Finding 1. Coaching was the most powerful predictor of everything. Hey y'all, team coaching had a direct effect on adaptive performance of 0.361, the strongest direct predictor in the model. But here's what makes it even more significant. The total effect of team coaching was 0.766. That means when you include the indirect pathways of resilience, commitment, and learning agility, coaching's total influence on performance is massive. More than half of coaching's impact is indirect. It doesn't just make teams perform better directly, it builds 3 conditions: resilience, goal commitment, and learning agility that sustains performance under pressure. If you only measure the direct effect, you're seeing less than half the picture. Finding number 2, commitment, goal commitment that is, was the strongest pathway. Stronger than actual resilience, which we talk about all the time. Both resilience and goal commitment partially mediated the relationship between coaching and performance. But commitment's indirect effect was 0.135, nearly double resilience 0.069. This really matters, y'all, because the industry's conversation is dominated by resilience. It really is. I know commitment, goal commitment is not sexy. Everyone's talking about building resilient teams. And resilience matters, y'all. It really does. The data actually confirms it. But the data also says if you have a choice on where to invest first, invest in goal commitment. See, a committed team that hits turbulence will fight to stay on course. A resilient team without commitment will absorb the hit and keep drifting. Finding 3. Teams with lower learning agility benefited more from coaching. This is the finding that changed how I think about coaching investment. Learning agility significantly moderated the relationship between coaching and adaptive performance. But the direction was negative, y'all. That means teams with lower learning agility got a bigger boost from coaching than teams with higher learning agility. The teams that are stuck, the ones that are repeating the same mistakes over and over again, the ones that can't seem to get rid of those or learn those old approaches, they still got those behaviors. See, those are the teams where coaching has the highest marginal return. Think about the implication here. Most organizations invest coaching in their top performers, man, a lot of times in their executives. The data shows that the ROI is the highest for teams that are struggling. You're not wasting coaching on struggling teams. You're actually optimizing it, okay? This finding really was interesting for me because it connected goal-setting theory and conservation of resources theory. Teams with low learning agility have fewer internal resources to actually self-correct. So external coaching provides what they can't generate themselves. See, for example, if you have a limited coaching budget, the data says to target it at that team that's struggling. The teams with the lowest learning agility score should be where you direct those resources. That's going to move the needle the most for you get the highest return on investment. Finding number 4. Industry and job level created significant performance gaps. The post hoc analysis revealed statistically significant differences between industries and job levels. Healthcare scored the lowest on coaching, resilience, goal commitment, and adaptive performance. Technology scored significantly lower than consulting and manufacturing on multiple constructs. Government scored lowest on learning agility and team resilience. At the job level, executives scored the highest on every construct. Frontline team members and supervisors scored the lowest. The people setting the goals are the most committed to those goals. The people executing the goals are the least committed to the goals. These aren't really small differences, y'all. They are statistically significant gaps that map to real organizational discomfort. The industry that faces the most human pressure, healthcare, has the weakest team infrastructure. The people closest to the work have the least amount of coaching support, is what the data shows, y'all. So, what do you do with this is the question. If you're an executive, a senior leader, maybe even a coach that is responsible for team performance, this research gives you 3 things you probably don't have right now. First, a measurement framework. You can't improve what you can't measure. Most organizations measure team performance after the fact. Did they hit the target? This model gives you the ability to measure the conditions that predict performance before the pressure actually hits. Coaching quality, resilience, goal commitment, learning agility. These are leading indicators, not lagging ones. Second, a coaching prescription. The model doesn't just say coaching matters, y'all. It tells you where coaching will have the highest return for you. If your team's goal commitment score is low, Coaching should focus on goal alignment and shared ownership. If resilience is the gap, coaching should focus on building structural capacity so that they can absorb disruption. If learn agility is low, coaching should push deliberate unlearning. See, the diagnosis determines the prescription. Third is an ROI framework. Pre-coaching assessment, post-coaching assessment. The 5 constructs before, the 5 constructs after. The delta in that is your return on investment. See, that right there is the language your CEO understands, your leadership understands. Most coaching engagements can't improve return on investment or even show you anything closely related to it because they never established a baseline. This model gives you that baseline. This is why I built ThriveQ, the diagnostic that operationalizes this research into something teams and leaders can actually use. See, ThriveQ is the diagnostic I built from the research. It measures all 5 constructs at the team level. Understand, at the team level. Shows you the profile, identifies the gaps, and prescribes the coaching intervention. It's not borrowed from someone else's framework. It's built on original doctoral data. 291 professionals, more than 4 industries, validated instruments, structural equation modeling with 5,000 bootstrap resamples. The relationship between the constructs, they aren't assumed. They're proven. That's the difference between a diagnostic that tells you what to measure and one that tells you what to do. This is the first in a series of videos where I'm going to go deeper on each of these findings. Next week, I'll break down the mediation story, how more than half of coaching's impact flows through invisible pathways that most organizations never measure, really don't think about. After that, the counterintuitive finding about which teams benefit the most from coaching will definitely cover. And then the industry-specific deep dives into healthcare and technology is what we're going to do after that. So if you lead a team in a complex environment, and if you're still watching, you do. Subscribe so you don't miss the rest of these videos. Every video is grounded in the same data set, same model, same peer-reviewed methodology. So it can help you. If you want to see what ThriveQ would reveal for your team, take the free assessment. The link is at atypical.com, but you'll find it in the description. No pitch decks, no generic proposals, just a conversation between you and our AI-enabled assessment. It'll give you some actions to take. I think you'll find the report valuable for how you move forward. From complexity to capability. I'll see you in the next one.